Greetings my fellow knights and welcome back to Recon by Fire. For today's battle, Steve is bringing his Drukhari and playing in the Reaper's Wager detachment. He is running Lady Malys, Lelith, a Solitaire, an Archon, another Archon running with 5 Incubi, 30 Kabalite Warriors split all kinds of ways thanks to bringing in 3 Venoms, 5 Mandrakes, 2x5 Scourges, 1 with Dark Lances and 1 with Haywires, a Ravager, and a Raider. Zach is back running the Imperial Knights in the Valor Strike Lance detachment. He's bringing a Knight Crusader, Canis Rex, a Knight Defender, 2 Helverins, 2 Warglaives, a Callidius Assassin, and the Navigator. For today's battle, we are playing Mission Pack Kilo, which is Scorched Earth. Deployment is Search and Destroy, and we're playing on terrain layout number 1. For pre-game actions, the Raider will scout ahead 9 inches. Knights select their oath, choosing to destroy more models than the current battle round. Top of round 1 and the Drukhari are going first. They will draw overwhelming force and recover assets as their secondaries for the turn. Raider will select the 6-inch disembark as its ability for the round. Into the movement phase, and Malys will advance 11 inches, moving from one building to the other. The Venom will move on to the objective and behind the wall. The Reavers will advance 18 inches and make it onto the center objective. Venom is going to move towards the center objective, staying behind the wall and out of line of sight. In order to deny the Imperial Knights the ability to tow onto that center building, Lelith and company are going to disembark the Raider and advance 10 inches to surround the terrain feature, and the Raider will do a slight reposition to be outside the building. The Solitaire will move into the corner of the building an inch away from the wall. Haywire Scourges are going to move towards the center to get line of sight on the Warglaive. Second Venom will move out from the building and hide behind the nearby container. Start of the shooting phase, the Haywires are going to spend a pain token and fire into the Warglaive across the way. It survives at just 2 wounds remaining. They will then fire and fade behind the wall. The Reavers attempt to finish off the Warglaive, but no joy. At the end of the turn, Imperial Knights will pick up the Callidius Assassin. Drukhari are going to score 3 points for recover assets and discard overwhelming force for a command point. Bottom of round 1 for the Imperial Knights, they will draw extend battle lines and sabotage as their secondaries for the turn. The wounded Warglaive is battle shocked. For bondsman abilities, the Warglaive is given +1 to hit, and the Helverin is given -1 damage. Start of the movement phase, and the wounded Warglaive heads towards the Raider. Second Warglaive will move towards the wall near the Scourges and Venom. The Drukhari will spend 2 CP to reactive move the Scourges 2 inches and putting them off the wall. Helverin will advance 15 inches, moving on to the objective. Second Helverin will also advance 15 inches to gain line of sight on the Raider. Both Knight Crusader and Defender do the Titan Shuffle to position on the template and have lanes of fire next round. Canis Rex will do a slight reposition to stage for next turn. The Callidius will come down inside the building to perform the sabotage. Start of the shooting phase, the Warglaive fires into the nearby witches and picks up 2 of them. Helverin fires into the same squad, cleaning up the entire thing, including Lilith. Second Helverin will fire into the Raider, but it makes all of its saves and suffers no damage. Warglaive into the Raider, and it suffers 8 wounds. Knight Crusader makes short work of the Reavers. Into the charge phase, and the Warglaive is into the Venom with a 6. Second Warglaive rolls a 7 and is into the Raider. Warglaive picks up the Venom. It does not explode, but one of the witches perishes on the way out. Wounded Warglaive into the Raider, and it takes it down. 0 damage on the Warriors as they disembark, and it will pile into the nearby Venom. Venom swings into the Warglaive and deals a single damage. That is going to end the turn for the Imperial Knights. They will score 4 points for extend battle lines. Sabotage is ongoing, and they will generate 2 command points for completing their oath by destroying like 15,000 models this turn. A great way to celebrate this achievement would be for you to take a moment to smash that like button so we know you want to see more battle reports like this. Top of round 2 for the Drukhari, they will draw Established Locus and Area Denial as their secondaries for the turn. They control 2 objectives and will score 10 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, and the Scourges are going to pop to the other side of the building to get line of sight on the Helverin. Malys and company will move wholly within the building to get line of sight on the same Helverin. Warriors inside the Venom are going to disembark onto the objective. Warriors will reposition to have line of sight into the Warglaive. Witches will burn a command point to re-roll the advance from a 2 into a 6, so they are able to accomplish the same move block Lelith performed the previous turn. Scourges are going to move towards the nearby container to gain line of sight on the Warglaive behind the building. The Venom is going to fall back onto the center objective. The squad of warriors is going to move in on the wounded Warglaive. Second squad of warriors will spread out within the building. Start of the shooting phase, and the Archon is going to chuck a grenade for free into the Warglaive, picking it up. Scourges burn a pain token and fire everything into the Helverin, but it takes 0 damage, and they will fire and fade back into the safety of the building. Malys' squad will pop a pain token for lethals and sustained into the same Helverin, but also no joy. Haywire Scourges fire into the Warglaive within the building, and it survives at 2 wounds again. They will fire and fade to the other side of the container. Warrior squad fires into the Helverin, but nothing doing. Onto the charge phase, and the same warriors make it into the Helverin with a 10 on the charge. Warriors swing into the Armiger, dealing 0 damage. Imperial Knights will spend a command point on Thunderstomp, and the Helverin deals 6 damage to the warrior squad. That is going to end the turn for the Drukhari. Malys will hop back in the nearby Venom. They will discard Established Locus for a command point and score 5 points for Area Denial. Imperial Knights will score 3 points for completing their sabotage. Bottom of round 2 for the Imperial Knights, they will draw Area Denial and Marked for Death as their secondaries for the turn. They control 2 objectives and will score 10 points on primary. Marked for Death targets are the Venom, the Ravager, and the Scourges, with the Gamma target being the Venom. Start of the movement phase, Imperial Knights will spend 2 command points on full tilt, allowing the defender to advance 19 inches to get within point-blank range of the Venom on the center objective. Canis Rex will advance 13 inches to get to the other side of the wall and succeeds his leadership check. Wounded Warglaive will head towards the center objective. At the end of the movement phase, Drukhari will spend a command point to rapid ingress the Incubi on the container. Start of the shooting phase, the Helverin trapped in combat will fire into the nearby Solitaire and manages to pick it up. Wounded Warglaive into the Venom, and it takes it down. Canis Rex threads the needle, firing into the Scourges across the board and takes down 4 of them. The Knight Defender will split fire, picking up the last of the Scourges and 3 of the nearby Witches. Knight Crusader is up next and picks up the 2 remaining Witches. On to ongoing combat, the Archon swings into the Helverin for no damage, unfortunately. The Knights will spend a command point to Thunderstomp, and the Helverin takes down the Archon. That is going to end the turn for the Imperial Knights. They will spend a command point for you to Thunderstomp that subscribe button, score 5 points on Area Denial, and 2 points on Marked for Death. Top of round 3 for the Drukhari, they will draw Defend Stronghold and Bring It Down as their secondaries for the turn. They control 2 objectives and will score 10 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, the Archon and Incubi will head towards the Callidius and Helverin. They are going to burn a command point to allow them to advance another 3 inches and still be able to charge. Imperial Knights will burn a command point to reactive move the Helverin. Unfortunately, it is only for 1 inch. Warrior squad will head on to the center objective. Scourges will move outside the building for line of sight into the Helverin. Venom is going to reposition to screen out the Callidius Assassin, and Malys and company will disembark on the other side of the wall. Ravager is going to back up near the board edge to thread the needle and have line of sight into the Helverin. Warriors move into the building to stage for next turn. Talos will arrive from reserves with line of sight into the Helverin. The Mandrakes find a small corner 9 inches away from the Callidius Assassin. At the start of the shooting phase, the Warriors will chuck a grenade at the wounded Warglaive and take it down. Scourges use a pain token and fire into the Helverin, dealing 8 damage. As they fire and fade back within the building, the Talos will then fire into the Helverin, finishing it off with 12 mortal wounds and generating 2 pain tokens. The Ravager fires into the Helverin and it survives at 5 wounds remaining. Warriors into the Defender, but nothing doing. Mandrakes fire into the Helverin and it's got 2 wounds left. It's charge o'clock and the Incubi make the charge into the Callidius Assassin, making sure the Archon is on the opposite side of the wall so the Assassin does not have line of sight. Mandrakes will also charge the Callidius and they're in with a 12. The Callidius fails its leadership check, becoming battle shocked and earning the Drukhari a pain token. She will still fight first and picks up 3 of the Incubi. Mandrakes swing into the Assassin. She almost survives, but they do just enough to pick her up. The Archon and company pile into the Helverin and swing, taking it down, but it will deadly demise, dealing 3 mortals to the Incubi and 2 mortals to the Mandrakes. That is going to end the turn for the Drukhari. They will score 4 points for Bring It Down, and Defend Stronghold is ongoing. Bottom of round 3 for the Imperial Knights, they will draw Cleanse and Behind Enemy Lines as their secondaries for the turn. They control 2 objectives and will score 10 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, Knights will spend 2 command points to allow the Defender to advance 18 inches into the Drukhari deployment zone. Knight Crusader then proceeds to advance 15 inches back onto its natural expansion. Wowzers. Canis moves on to the center objective and begins to cleanse. Start of the shooting phase and the Crusader will split fire, picking up the Mandrakes and then picking up the Archon. Canis uses his discount to reroll the number of shots and makes short work of the Warriors on the center of the field. The Knight Defender will split fire, dealing 4 damage to the Ravager and picking up 2 of the Scourges. That is going to end the turn for the Imperial Knights. They will score 2 points for Cleanse, 3 points for Behind Enemy Lines, and the Drukhari will score 3 points for defending their stronghold. Top of round 4 for the Drukhari, they will draw Marked for Death and Sabotage as their secondaries for the turn. Gamma target will be the Knight Defender. Standard targets are the other 3. They control 2 objectives and will score 10 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, the Talos will gain line of sight on the Defender, taking care not to trigger the reactive move. The Venom will move towards the back of the building, again staying outside of 9 inches. Malys and her squad will disembark. Start of the shooting phase, the Warriors will chuck a grenade into the Defender, dealing a single mortal. Ravager will fire into the Defender, dealing 8 damage. Scourges are up next. They will burn a pain token and manage to deal 7 more damage. Talos fire into the Defender, dealing 6 damage. Malys and company also fire into the Defender, burning a pain token, but no joy. The Warrior Brick will also burn a pain token and also fire into the Defender, and it proves to be just enough to finally take the Knight down. Oof. Luckily, it does not explode. That is going to end the turn for the Drukhari. Malys will get back into the nearby Venom. They will score 2 points on Marked for Death, and Sabotage is ongoing. Bottom of round 4 for the Imperial Knights, they will draw Establish Locus and Storm Hostile Objective as their secondaries for the turn. They control 2 objectives and will score 10 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, Canis will use his discount and 1 command point for full tilt and move 19 inches towards the Drukhari expansion. Start of the shooting phase, the Knight Crusader sends everything into the Ravager, absolutely pulverizing it. Canis Rex burns a CP on the number of shots as he fires into the Talos, but the Feel No Pains come in clutch and one survives at a single wound. That is going to end the turn for the Imperial Knights. They will score 4 points for Storm Hostile Objective and discard Established Locus for a command point. The Drukhari will score 3 points for completing their Sabotage. Top of round 5 for the Drukhari, they will draw Cleanse, which they'll cycle away with New Orders, drawing a Storm Hostile Objective and Assassination as their secondaries for the turn. They control 1 objective and will score 5 points on primary. Start of the movement phase, the Warriors are going to move into the building to gain line of sight on Canis Rex. The Talos moves to make the charge unfailable. The Scourges will move to the outside of the building to gain line of sight into Canis. All 5 Warriors move onto the objective and begin to burn it. Malys and her squad are going to move towards Canis as well. And for good measure, the Venom will also move into the building. Start of the shooting phase, Canis Rex is going to spend his discount and 1 CP to rotate ion shields due to the Vect from Malys. Talos fires into Canis, dealing 3 dev wounds. Warrior squad will chuck a grenade at Canis, dealing 4 damage. Scourges fire into Rex, dealing 11 damage. Warriors fire, dealing 3 damage. Malys' squad deals 9 damage and takes the mech down. It's charge o'clock and the Talos barely makes it into Sir Hector with a 4. Malys and company are in with a 9 and she eviscerates Sir Hector with her fan, taking him off the field. That is going to end the turn for the Drukhari. They will score 5 points for Assassination and 4 points for Storm Hostile Objective. The Knight Crusader will successfully burn its objective for 5 points. Last turn of the game and the Imperial Knights will draw Display of Might, which they'll cycle away with New Orders, drawing them Secure No Man's Land and Engage on all fronts as their secondaries for the turn. Into the movement phase, and the Imperial Knights are going to spend a command point to re-roll the advance from a 1 into a 5 for the Knight Crusader, but unfortunately it still will not be enough due to a pivot to make it onto this center objective. It will simply remain on that table quarter to score the 1 point for Engage on all fronts. They will score 5 points for controlling 1 objective at the end of the game, and the Drukhari will score 5 points for burning the expansion. That is going to make the final score 79-74 in favor of the Drukhari. You have to love a game that comes down to the absolutely last die roll to decide the winner. If you made it this far in the video, take a moment to smash that subscribe button, as it lets us know that you want to see more content like this, and we really appreciate it. But that will do it for today, my friends. So until next time, as always, happy gaming.